Greetings from South Carolina. I want to thank Pastor Chad for allowing me this time during this service to just share a little bit from my heart. Pastor Chad is your pastor now, and nothing will change that, and I'm not trying to interfere with that. But over the course of 27 years, you get to know some members better than others, just through the course of life and their involvement with the church. Clyde being one of the deacons of the church for a number of years, having participated in just about every training program that I ever offered for the church members, sitting on Wednesday night in the fellowship hall and having meals together and chatting about both politics and things of Tennessee football. I just want you to know that we became close friends. Not that I don't love all of you, I certainly do, but sometimes you get a chance to get to know somebody better than somebody else. And there are three things that I want to share with you today about Brother Clyde. First of all, I know that Clyde is in heaven. You see, I've invested my entire life in telling people that there is a literal place called heaven, a literal place called hell. And I know that Clyde chose a long time ago that he wanted to go to heaven, that he believed that Jesus died for his sins, and Clyde turned from his sins and invited Jesus into his heart. That's a wonderful promise, and he's at home now. Both Eddie and Robert Lucas have said that he talked about going home, and we all talked about how he didn't want to just live an existence, but if he couldn't have quality of life, he was ready to go home. And so we know that he's at home in heaven. Second of all, I want you to know that we all benefited from his ministry while we were together at Southside Baptist Church. Every one of us benefited from his wisdom, from his sense of humor, from his fellowship, from his love, and we all benefited from his ministry. The third one is where I personally was more involved with Clyde, and that was in special prayer needs. There are always, of course, certain members who have different tragedies that come into their lives, certain needs that come into their lives. And during those times of counsel and prayer together, you get closer to one another. There are a number of people at Southside that I drew very close to through family situations and through prayer together. Clyde is one of those people. And I want you to know that I believe that he's experiencing the third thing right now in heaven. From the parable that Jesus told in Matthew chapter 25, verse 21. He talked about a parable of having given people talents. Now, that was money in this particular parable, but I believe that it's symbolic of the talents that he gives to us, spiritual talents as well, and spiritual gifts. And at the end of the story, when he talked to those that had been faithful, he said this: "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in a few things. I will put you in charge of many things." I believe that when Clyde arrived in heaven, Jesus said, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." But there's more to that particular parable in that verse of verse 21. It says, "Enter into the joy of your master." I believe today we celebrate a life that has gotten a "well done, my good and faithful servant." And I believe that he's entered into the joy of his master. I can't tell you how many times Clyde and I prayed for his family, for a daughter that was very ill, for a son who was also needing special prayer, for grandchildren, for great-grandchildren. What a precious wife Eddie has been for him. The friendship that we've had with Eddie and Clyde has bridged all of the years, and it has been a very special friendship. But don't be sad for Clyde. Pray for Eddie and Jeff and the rest of the family, because you see, Clyde has entered into the joy of his master. God bless you, and have a wonderful day celebrating the life of one of God's faithful servants, Clyde Mantooth.